In this video, let's take a look at some of the different blocks you can use in the BirdBlocks app. For those of you who have used Scratch and Snap programming, the interface for BirdBlocks should be pretty easy to pick up. For those not familiar, you can learn a little bit more about them by following the link here. Back to BirdBlocks, in this video, we're going to focus on the Hummingbird and iPad blocks. When using any of the Hummingbird blocks, make sure the block is set to the corresponding port on your Hummingbird board by tapping here. First up, the Hummingbird blocks. Your options here include the Hummingbird board's motors, servos, LEDs, and sensors. For the Hummingbird motor commands, we have the servo, motor, and vibration options. With a Hummingbird servo block, you can set servos 1 through 4 to a value from 0 to 180 degrees. Using a Hummingbird motor block, you can set motor port 1 or 2 to a speed from -100 to 100. Lastly, for the motor commands, we have the Hummingbird vibration block. This sets vibration motor 1 or 2 to an intensity value from 0 to 100. Still in the Hummingbird blocks, let's take a look at the LED commands. With the Hummingbird LED block, you can set the intensity of light on a single color LED on ports 1 through 4. The intensity ranges from 0 to 100. The Hummingbird Tri-LED sets the full color LED at port 1 or 2. The R, G, and B arguments control the intensity of the red, green, and blue elements in the tricolor LED. The range is 0 to 100 for each color. Last up for the Hummingbird blocks, we have the Hummingbird sensing commands. All sensing commands allow the user to specify a number corresponding to the port the sensor is on. The Hummingbird light sensor block returns the value of a light sensor ranging from 0 to 100. The Hummingbird Celsius and Fahrenheit sensor blocks return the values from the temperature probe. Next, the Hummingbird distance centimeter sensor block returns the distance to an object from a distance sensor in centimeters. The range is 8 to 60 centimeters with the kit's range sensor. Any value greater than 60 centimeters should be considered as not seeing an object. The Hummingbird inch sensor block returns the distance to an object from a distance sensor in inches. The range is 3 to 24 inches with the kit's range sensor. Similar to the centimeter block, any value greater than 24 inches should be considered as not seeing an object. The Hummingbird knob block shows the value of the Hummingbird's knob ranging from 0 to 100. And finishing the sensors and the Hummingbird blocks, the Hummingbird sound sensor block returns the value of a sound sensor ranging from 0 to 100. Now let's take a look at the iPad blocks. The iPad menu in BirdBlocks contains blocks that take advantage of the iPad's built-in sensors. Device shaken returns true if the iPad has been shaken recently. After returning true, the block will return false on subsequent checks until the device is shaken again. The device latitude-longitude block returns a list with the longitude and latitude of the iPad. The device SSID block shows the SSID or the name of the Wi-Fi network the iPad is connected to. The device pressure block returns an air pressure reading from the device's barometer in kilopascals. This block will only work if you're using an iPad Air 2, iPad Mini 4, iPad Pro, or a newer iPad with a built-in barometer. The device relative altitude block returns the change in the iPad's altitude in meters since the BirdBlocks app was opened. This is determined using the device's barometer, which is necessary for the block to work. Device acceleration returns a list with the g-force in the x, y, and z directions. 1g is the acceleration due to gravity. Next, the device orientation block returns text which describes the orientation of the iPad. Possible outputs include face up, landscape, home button on left, landscape, home button on right, portrait, home button on bottom, portrait, home button on top, face down, and in between. If your project is using this block, you may want to lock the screen orientation by swiping up twice from the bottom of the screen and tapping the orientation lock icon so it turns white. And finally, we have the display block. You can edit the text in the box to say whatever you like. Once you tap it again in the scripts area, your message will appear at the bottom of the screen. And that wraps up this look into some of the blocks in the BirdBlocks app. For more info, check out the Hummingbird Kit website. In the next video, I'll walk you through building your first program.